Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders. In green, our Category 2. In blue, Category 3. And Category 4 in red.
But we've got a push on the front at the moment. Talbot might be doing the chasing, but it looks like it's Arnie Jacobs, I think, who may be pushing on at the moment.
We don't often see a gap opening like this. Kowalski and Wojciech, the duo, the tandem of riders at the moment, who can see the leaders in Category 1 in their rear view mirror coming up behind them. Meanwhile, Finkel and Jacin are at the start, 10 seconds to Kroll, and at the moment 21 seconds to Noren.
Well, it's amazing the pace these riders are moving at the moment in Category 1. This is a race for 3rd, 4th and 5th. And it's a big group of riders on the climb at the moment. Well, at the moment in Category 2, it's X100 and Ospina who are side by side, and they're clear of the group behind, and the group behind spilt down the road, being led by Peter Millerstick, but he's a number of seconds back.
Well, we'll see what happens in that run to the line. The man who's going to see the line first, he's come back. He took a 3rd place 5 times. He's got 5 second places. This will be his 24th win on the Sunday Race Club. Michael Vink, your Category 1 winner, right clear of the rest of the field. What a way to take victory.
Madame, Messieurs, bonjour, ravi de vous retrouver sur MyWhoosh pour ce Sunday Race Club catégorie au départ, la catégorie 4 en rouge, les bleus de la catégorie 3, la catégorie 2 en vert et bien sûr la catégorie 1 en jaune avec les rouges qui vont ouvrir le bal. Eh bien, le tempo directement très soutenu, 45 km/h. C'est parti à du 100 à l'heure sur ce tracé de Tel Moreb. Et là aussi, pour l'instant, après plus ou moins 6 km, on a une physionomie de course assez débridée. Et c'est tant mieux avec clairement Monteiro da Luz qui est un véritable dynamiteur. C'est maintenant José Ricardo Betti, le Brésilien, qui sort du peloton. Pour l'instant, on a des petites offensives, on essaye, mais on ne laisse pas partir. On ne laisse pas partir. Peter Milostic qui vient se glisser dans sa roue. Est-ce qu'on peut partir à 2 avec Milostic, Martin Martens, Jacobs, Paridans et consorts? Eh bien, je crois qu'ils sont partis. Et ils sont 5. Alors ils sont 5, il y en a un qui me manque. C'est qui a fait le bon? C'est Kaminski. Ça réagit derrière. Hein. Ça réagit avec Philip Graves, Jonas Bjarhed, Betty, Mathias Van Ee. On a un peu les hommes en forme des dernières semaines. Ouh là là. Le voici, le néerlandais, avec Kaminski qui est juste derrière lui en 4e position. Après, on a Jasper Paridans. Le peloton n'est pas rentré. Ospina, Mister Xan sont bien partis. Alors que là, on va presque rater le sprint de la catégorie 4 avec la victoire de Daniel Cadiz.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. مشاهدينا الكرام، متابعينا في كل مكان، أهلا وسهلا بكم مع الانطلاقات الأربعة والفئات الأربعة. الفئة باللون الأحمر، الفئة الرابعة والفئة الثالثة بالأزرق، والفئة الثانية باللون الأخضر، والأولى باللون الأصفر.
أبو عامر الآن يظهر يتقدم بداية
يظهر أبو عامر الآن. نعم، يضغط أبو عامر في هذه اللحظات. لاحظ هذه كابتن الآن محاولة أبو عامر،
وتستمر المحاولة هنا بعد نهاية السبرنت من نيكولاس سبرات وأيضا تايلر صاحب القميص الأخضر، يبتعدون عن الكوكب بثانيتين.
هناك كامنسكي يعمل هجوم ويلتحق ببعض الدراجين للفئة الثانية. الفئة الثانية كامنسكي يعدي عليها. هذا تحرك الآن من مستر إكساندر في مقدمة السباق. عملية تحرك دخولنا، بداية الدخول للمنطقة الصحراوية وبداية الصعود والمرتفعات. يعرف قدرات مستر إكساندر، فلذلك لا يتركها دائما، وإذا وصل معه ما يتعاون معه. يعني الآن نشوف مستر إكساندر طلب من ميلوستيك أن يتعاون معاه الآن، وفعلا تبدو الصورة هكذا.
ولكن ما زال لدينا نقطتين للصعود بالنسبة للقميص المنقط، وينافس بشكل قوي هذا اللاعب مستر إكساندر من الفئة الثانية. المنافسة قوية منذ انطلاقها الأولى لهذه الفئة وحتى الآن. آخر 100 متر والمنافسة على السبرنت، وبالفعل اللاعب دانيال هو بالمركز الأول، يستطيع أن ينهيها.
Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's November. It's qualifier race number 3. I can't quite believe
How did it happen?
where has that time gone? My name's Matt Payne. I'm here in the studio with Emma Martin. Emma, last qualifier, last chance to get that ride in. It's got to be verified to go into the finals. We saw an absolutely frantic course record setting women's race across in Switzerland, in Zurich, place you know well. We're on a course that we know very, very well here for the men.
We are indeed, and we are on the Alula Heritage Course. So absolutely brilliant, because we head out the start pens, past the Elephant Rock, through 1, 2, 3 sprints. Before at 16.3 kilometres, we get to the Heritage Climb. Now, it is a really technical climb, and you can see that on your screen by the number of short, sharp peaks, descents, drops, and climbs. Again, 5.8 kilometres, an average gradient of 5.7%. It's categorised as a Category 2 climb. You drop down on a technical descent into the Canyon Oasis climb. That's 1.6 kilometres, through and over the cliff sprint. You then descend down before you hit the Nabatean Cave climb, and then, well, it's a run in to the checkered flag at 45 kilometres.
And that flat run in, if it's a sprint, it makes it very, very close, because there isn't any gradient gain in there at all. It's a long way off the climb, so we do see people trying to pull back. And if you blow, you're going to lose a lot of time if you don't get that Nabatean Cave climb right. 4 race categories on the start. Category 4 in red, Category 3 in blue, Category 2 in green, Category 1 in yellow. 5 minutes between categories 3 and 4, 5 minutes between categories 1 and 2, and then the riders at the top and base of your screen, they're separated by 10 minutes. The first riders away, though, are the Category 4 BMC Racing 4 riders: Robinson, Abello, Bachansky, and Kriwanos. The Level Avengers 3 riders: Rooney, Francis, and Warren. The Mighty Ducks, 2 riders on the squad: Agadella and Newman. Spinergy with 2 riders as well: Kennett and Jocobonus. The biggest squad of the day in Category 4 is the Anzacs with 5: McMurtry, Winfield, Cridland, Horsley, and Dadson. And upcycled, well, they've got 4 riders: Nasket, Drummond, Lloyd, and Mayard. They are but a mere soupçon of the menu here today of riders in Category 4. 25 nations on the start line to go racing here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's qualifier race number 3. It's Category 4. The first riders away, 45 kilometres, 707 metres of climbing. The riders in red. It's time to hit the pedal, and let's not go too deep, not into the red zone before we hit those climbs.
Well, the riders in Category 4 are away, and what is interesting is also who is not here today. As Matt said, this is qualifier number 3 for November. 2 qualifiers, verified finishes to count for the finals next week, and a number of riders choosing not to race today. Now, Boo Aimer is one of the riders here, with Christoph Labno right at the front of the pack, and Category 4 always like a fast start. So Labno, Aimer, De Silva in there, so is Dadson and Abello. In fact, Mark Dadson and Cameron Dadson both on the bikes today. Great to see them. Jeff Rooney is here as well, as we see the pack pushing on. Now, 55 riders on the start sheets in Category 4. And top 5 last week, well, you know, Cadiz and Robinson were separated by 0.7 of a second last week in Category 4. Well, that was on the Tel Marib course. White, Alalusa, and then David Winfield rounded out the top 5. Now, Robinson not here today, but riders who are, well, Brian White is here. He obviously had that 3rd place finish. We've already seen Cameron Dadson and Mark Dadson on the line. Cadiz is here. Nogueira, Rusanek, Smith, Nielsen, Callangad is here. Brito, Pino, Driscoll, Llewellyn are all in the mix today.
Brian White was on form, because I was just taking a look through the results this week of riders racing on MyWhoosh through the week, and took a win through the week as well. So clearly that form continuing onwards at the moment, because last night just trying to keep this racing hard. For me, this is always a questionable tactic, unless you need to do a warm-up
Well, it is a questionable tactic, particularly with 16.3 kilometres of what I'm going to call fairly flat terrain. In fact, a lot of it is pan-flat terrain, as you can see on the top right-hand corner of your screen, which gives the gradient and what is coming up in front of the riders. So just to push on from Labno here, but at some point the pack will come back. Now, really, really interesting. I said last week it was close between the top two. Last time the men were on the Alula Heritage course was in Qualifier 1 in October. And there were sprints. Well, let me say there were indeed sprints in category 2, 3, and 4. But in category 4, the top 4 riders were separated by 1.2 seconds. So expect a close race across the categories today. That is the storyline of today's racing. Potentially.
And of course, this is bike racing, and anything can happen. It's a well-hackneyed phrase. Now, in with JD Abello at the moment. You can just see tucked in to the leading group here, chasing our lone leader, or not chasing our lone leader at the moment, just keeping the tempo tapping through as they make the way down through the gorge at the moment. You can just see at the minute, though, this group are not panicking. They're not worrying about the fact that they have got the rider clear in front. Category 4, well, they've got a little way to go till they get to that first climb, and they've got plenty of time to pull him back. The Heritage climb, to give you an indication, in Category 4, the fastest time up the Heritage climb that I think is going to be correct is 17 minutes 11 seconds. That is a faster time than that has been done, but I suspect that wasn't real. It's a far too convenient 500 watts average.
Well, the only person who could probably do that is the one and only Hayden Pucker.
Well, quite possibly so.
Power.
He's powered, but he's only in Category 1, so we've got a little while till we see whether he can do that. The teams in Category 3 waiting to go: Otorora Alliance, East Squillori and Edwards. 3 riders there. 3 riders for Level Racing: Kirk, Rimborg and Allport. We've got Take That. They are the biggest squad of the day with 4 riders: Diduch, Oya, Ridley and Kansara, and 3 riders for the ZTBR squad, which is Elos, Moreno and Oviedo. They are 14 of the riders that make up the 19 nations. And although it's not quite as big a squad, as bigger entry list as Category 4, it's still a fair-sized field. We're just in with Robert Edwards, the Welsh Red Dragon flying. That when we do the maths, by the way, we do count that as the United Kingdom when we're counting nations.
Great Britain.
It's UK.
United Kingdom.
UK, yeah.
Well, the Welsh Dragon, always great to see, though, because when you do cross the border from England into Wales, you do see the dragon, and it is one of those sights to watch out for. Lots of children's stories about dragons and Wales.
Oh, I could tell you hundreds of them. I was lucky enough to spend a lot of time in Wales as a kid, and really enjoy some fantastic bike riding and racing. Even took a road bike to the top of the 3rd highest mountain in Wales, which is a really stupid thing to do because there's no or trails. Now, as we're just in with Noel Batty at the moment, you can just see putting the fan on there, just trying to make sure he's got plenty of ventilation.
Hold on a minute, because I can tell you Noel Batty may have a Union Jack by the side because he is of British nationality, but he actually lives in Germany.
And the sun is shining.
There you go.
And it's sunnier than the UK. So there we go. So he's saying it's cold at the minute. No, you just turned the fan on, Niall. What are you doing?
Well, I can tell he can say it's cold in the minute. Snow is forecast for the UK this week coming.
Well, there you go. The moral
Winter
of that story is to be not there if you don't like the snow. So stay in your pain cave, jump on board MyWhoosh, download the app on iOS, on Android, on Windows, and get on board with our riders. Now, our solo leader, Christoph Lasno, has decided I'm just going to go for a sprint here as well.
Look at what he's done to the Category 4 pack.
Well, he's left it behind for 13 seconds. And just as importantly for me, he's basically continuing to push. He's going for the sprint here, but this realistically is not going to. It's not going to pay off long term for him. I don't think.
Take a look at what's happening behind. It's Dadson and Dadson, the 2 Dadsons together, doing the chasing.
it reminds me of Tintin and the two brothers who were the two policemen chasing Tintin. Tintin up the road, and there were two police.
Well,
in
Cameron
theory,
does.
going to help him, but in practice,
Well,
getting in the way more. Of the
There we
time.
go. Through the
you
artist alley sprint, the Dadsons have just gone through in chase, but it is indeed Christoph Lubno who is still out front in that Category 4 race by 11 seconds. Cameron Dadson, Mark Dadson giving chase. Clinton Carrillo has joined them. Ola Warren is leading the charge behind because that pack all want back together in Category 3. It's Luke Allport, the one, the only. Luke Allport has company with Alex West, those two doing a very similar thing, stretching that Category 3 pack 1 or 2 seconds. Henry Yeast is the rider giving chase.
There's a lot of action early on. I mean, I know not everybody's a climber. Not everybody wants to wait till that 5.8k heritage climb. A lot of people want to rip it up early, but it's energy that you could have had left in the tank if you sit there and wait. But, I mean, it would make for some very boring racing if everybody just sort of pootled at 1 watt per kilo all the way to the climb. And races are races. That's not going to happen.
And we also talked about teams, don't we? You introduced the number of teams. There are a good number of teams in Category 3. And whilst the team competition really fully comes into play next week in the monthly final, during these qualifying weeks, the teams do practice other tactics and really try and work out what they can do. And having been sent sheets of tactic team notes, or should I say team tactics notes, because Tactic is a race team in the UK and we don't want to get confused with them because they are a cracking squad. But the tactics for the teams, 3 sides of A4 I got sent once from one team, indicating what their team tactics has been. But let's just take a look at the runners and riders today in Category 3 very quickly. Orego, Batty, Giuliano, Tidholm have all raced well on this course before, but it was Oya, Ridley, Elos and Moreno who rode really strongly last week, and Conrad Fendrich has moved to Category 2. So progressing from Category 3 off of his performances this month.
So that's Category 3. Just saw Category 4 with the lone escapee Laszlo getting chased down the pack, bringing him back into the fold. But Laszlo taking the green jersey of the sprint. Category 3 riders at the moment yet to reach that first sprint, the Artist Alley sprint that starts at 4.3k. 300 metres of sprint if they choose to contest it. And this group just dropping 1 or 2 riders already as they make their way through. As you can see, the height again, just really these little rises, the bridges over the river in the gorge, making all of that difference. 10 meters of ascent climbed so far. You can see that on the left hand side of your screen. If you are new to MyWhoosh, basically the rider that we're watching, it says in the center of your screen, that's Henry East, is highlighted in blue on the right hand side. You can see Henry in real life on the left hand side. It's dark where Henry is at the moment on the far side of the globe, although it's a South African flag, I know, over in New Zealand at the moment. The rider's stats in the center of the big screen view. What's in green mean that the rider is in the draft, hiding out of the wind. If it's white, they're in the wind. You can see the watts per kilo, so it's power to weight ratio directly underneath. You've got the elapsed time, how long the rider's been riding, the heart rate, and the pedal cadence in there as well. Don't forget, right-hand side of the screen, you've got the gradient or lack of it at the moment. The white line that runs from right to left is the rider gradient. The gradient of the course, the rider's position marked by the vertical yellow line. The zones that the riders are riding in shows you how hard or easy they're going. Number 1 being the sitting, having a chat and hardly moving. Number 6, well, if you're into zone 6, generally you think the world is going to come to an end.
That's what we do on a Thursday evening.
Yeah, you can tell Emma's been doing the coaching and making people hurt a fair bit. The rider's position, 44 out of 92. So that's basically everybody who's sat on the start line at the moment is 92. 41 is where at the moment our rider is that we're watching, that's Ryan Drummond. At the moment, currently 38. 8th. And you can see on the right-hand side the rider's jersey indicating their category. So Ryan Drum on the left-hand side of your screen in person, just chasing this little group because this is a dangerous move here. The riders have gone for the sprint. There's about 5 riders gone in front. Drummer's putting a good kick in here because he knows the danger here is that the riders will continue to push. And if 5 or 6 riders continue to go, then that will make that dangerous. It could well be we can see a move over the top. Luke Allport has continued this on at 5.5 watts per kilo because as you go through the sprint and up onto this climb section, it's a great chance to break the group up. It's doing some damage. Taylor Gonzalez, the rider in the green skin suit, just been dropped back.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? And this is one of the tactics that we do see play out, where riders go through the sprint and rather than sit up like the expectation of the pack may well be, they just continue to push and they use those sprint segments as an attack point on the course. Nicely done here. I tell you what, Ryan Drummer, who we were watching through that sprint, rewarded with a top 10 position. But Taylor Gonzalez, you're right, Matt, in that green skin suit, indicating the fastest sprint time currently on the category 3 race. Now, he will hold that skin suit if he sets the fastest time in the category through. But let me say, the sprint skin suit is awarded by the fact that points are given to each category for the fastest times through the sprint. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 for the 5 fastest times. If there are more than one sprint section on the course, there are 4 today, those points get added together and it's the rider with the highest number of points that wears the green skin suit.
Maximum points on offer today, 20 points. That's my maths done for the day.
Currently, Gonzalez has 5.
So let's see what happens by the time they get to the end. So categories of 4 and 3 who set off first down the road. The next group of riders are our category 2 riders. Now, the level NSA Racing, the squad here. The second biggest team in category 2 at the level NSA Racing, Rushma, Tuika, Karlstrom and Mercedes. The squad from the MyWhoosh Werewolves, the biggest squad, 5 riders, Grays, Winfield, Theme, Ritter and Walter on the entry list. So what's up, team? What's up? Well, Carol, Wojciech and Clay, 3 riders there, but 3 riders also from the UAE clan team. No prizes for guessing that we have the legendary Mr. X100, Pablo Popovic and SS. All 3 strong riders, all 3 aggressive riders, and all 3 riders who will be looking to make this hard on the way through. And because this is not the biggest climb, I expect to see them all in action. Watch out for SS on the sprints. Watch out for Pablo Popovic where it gets rolling. And Mr. X100, well, you can't discount it from pretty much anywhere, having a go on the front. Up against a huge field of riders. That was just 19 of the riders in teams today. About 25 nations represented on the start list, matching that of category 4. Interestingly, categories 3 and category 1 matching as well today by some random quirk of fate. So, category 2, time to go racing here in Alula. Heading out onto the Heritage course. Time to see who will be leading this out.
Well, I'll tell you something. Thierry Mercedes leading it out because I saw him kick off the line at 10.6 watts per kilo. I was looking through the pack and Trojanowski has matched him. So Marcin Trojanowski, Thierry Mercedes, wow, wow, wow. Let's rock and roll.
Timing is everything, and a man who clearly is in time. You don't have a very nice guitar like that hung up on the side of your pain cave if you can't keep time. Well, he's able to do that. Trojanowski, look at him. He's tucked down there in the pain cave and already starting to rip this up. This is a course that Marcin Trojanowski could rip from the start. Can he solo this? Well, the answer, I would actually argue, the answer is yes. It is possible to solo this to the finish. Are we going to see that happen? I cannot imagine that they are going to let a man of the class of Trojanowski go clear.
No.
You can see the response starting to come. Good to see PFL here from France, Bruce Bird from Canada, SS moving up through the field. Ivan Nuki here as well. Absolute legend. Ivan getting a mention on the, not by us for a change, on the inside the ride podcast with Si Bradley that we were on this week. Great
Yeah.
to have a chat with Si. Do make sure that you jump on board and make sure that you grab yourself a chat. Emma, the chat in the race that we were in with in the inside the ride we were on. But
Yep.
It was a great chat, wasn't it? And it's part of all that podcast series, isn't it? I mean, inside the ride, a great series including Tadej Pogacar.
Yeah, it has indeed. And the podcast been really, really interesting, and you can head over to the MyWhoosh YouTube channel and you can pick up those inside the ride. I think we were episode 11, so not a huge number if you want to watch the back catalogue. And there's some really, really interesting tales around the Sunday Race Club, but also some really interesting guests as well in terms of the run up to and the post World Champs. And of course, that Tadej Pogacar interview, who, well, someone had to follow him, and it was us.
It was. I mean, what a position to be in, to follow Tadej Pogacar. Well, it's always going to be the case. Everybody's following.
Someone had to
I
follow
now
Tadej
know how the
Pogacar.
rest of the entire men's peloton race field feels because we followed Tadej Pogacar through. In fact, we were lucky enough to have him photobomb us in the studios, amongst other things. So great to catch up with him and great to catch up with Si Bradley. So please do have a watch, have a listen, subscribe. Make sure you tick the box on the YouTube. Now, just getting word from race control that the race pause at the moment is paused at the minute. There will be a restart to the race. There's going to be a restart to the race. As soon as we get some more updates, we will let you know. So I would suggest that if you are not racing, now is the time, if you haven't done so already, to get fueled up and ready, because it could be a little bit longer today than normal. So please, guys, sit tight. As you can see, category 4 is going to be on there. Now, just getting some news. We are going to ourselves have a restart, and that means that myself, Emma, and Matt Payne, we are going to just do a restart. So we are going to be back very shortly. Give yourselves roughly about 7 or 8 minutes, I suspect, before we are back with you once again. So whilst you wait, I think we're going to be playing you the rewinds from last week, just coming up. Have a listen to that. Maybe go on and make sure you follow MyWhoosh on social media at the same time, whilst you make the most of this time whilst we wait for a restart. I think this is only the second ever in history that I can remember. And welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club with 4 race starts. We're going to start with our category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our category 1 riders. In green, our category 2. In blue, category 3. And category 4 in red.
But we've got a push on the front at the moment. Talbot might be doing the chasing, but it looks like it's Arnie Jacobs, I think, who may be pushing on at the moment.
We don't often see a gap opening like this. Kowalski and Wojciech, the duo, the tandem of riders at the moment, who can see the leaders in category 1 in their rear view mirror coming up behind them. Meanwhile, Fink and Jacin are at the start, 10 seconds to Kroll, and at the moment 21 seconds to Noren.
Well, it's amazing the pace these riders are moving at the moment in category 1. This is a race for 3rd, 4th and 5th. And it's a big group of riders on the climb at the moment. Well, at the moment in category 2, it's X100 and Ospina who are side by side, and they're clear of the group behind. And the group behind, built down the road, being led by Peter Millistick, but he's a number of seconds back.
Well, we'll see what happens in that run to the line. The man who's going to see the line first, he's come back. He took a third place 5 times. He's got 5 second places. This will be his 24th win on the Sunday Race Club. Michael Vink, your Category 1 winner, right clear of the rest of the field. What a way to take victory.
Mesdames, Messieurs, bonjour, ravi de vous retrouver sur MyWhoosh pour ce Sunday Race Club catégorie au départ, la catégorie 4 en rouge, les bleus de la catégorie 3, la catégorie 2 en vert et bien sûr la catégorie 1 en jaune avec les rouges qui vont ouvrir le bal. Eh bien, le tempo directement très soutenu, 45 km/h. C'est parti à du 100 à l'heure sur ce tracé de Tel Moreb. Et là aussi, pour l'instant, après plus ou moins 6 km, on a une physionomie de course assez débridée. Et c'est tant mieux avec clairement Monteiro da Luz qui est un véritable dynamiteur. Et c'est maintenant José Ricardo Betti, le Brésilien, qui sort du peloton. Pour l'instant, on a des petites offensives, on essaye, mais on ne laisse pas partir. On ne laisse pas partir. Peter Milostic qui vient se glisser dans sa roue. Est-ce qu'on peut partir à 2 avec Milostic, Martin Martens, Jacobs, Paridans et consorts? Eh bien, je crois qu'ils sont partis. Et ils sont 5. Alors ils sont 5, il y en a un qui me manque. C'est qui a fait le bon? C'est Kaminski. Ça réagit derrière. Hein. Ça réagit avec Philip Graves, Jonas Bjarhed, Betty, Mathias Vanné. On a un peu les hommes en forme des dernières semaines. Ouh là là. Le voici, le néerlandais, avec Kaminski qui est juste derrière lui en 4e position. Après, on a Jasper Paridans. Le peloton n'est pas rentré. Ospina, Mister Xan sont bien partis. Alors que là, on va presque rater le sprint de la catégorie 4 avec la victoire de Daniel Cadiz.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم مشاهدينا الكرام متابعينا في كل مكان اهلا وسهلا بكم مع الانطلاقات الاربعه والفئات الاربعه، الفئه باللون الاحمر، الفئه الرابعه والفئه الثالثه بالازرق والفئه الثانيه باللون الاخضر والاولى باللون الاصفر.
ابو عامر الان يظهر يتقدم بدايه
يظهر ابو عامر الان. نعم يضغط ابو عامر في هذه اللحظات. لاحظ هذه كابتن الآن محاولة أبو عامر،
وتستمر المحاولة هنا بعد نهاية السبرنت من نيكولاس سبرات وأيضا تايلر صاحب القميص الأخضر يبتعدون عن الكوكب بثانيتين.
هناك كامنسكي يعمل هجوم ويلتحق ببعض الدراجين للفئة الثانية. الفئة الثانية كامنسكي يعدي عليها. هذا تحرك الآن من مستر إكساندر هنا في مقدمة السباق. عملية تحرك بعد دخولنا، بداية الدخول للمنطقة الصحراوية وبداية الصعود والمرتفعات. يعرف قدرات مستر إكساندر فلذلك لا يتركها دائما، وإذا وصل معاه ما يتعاون معه. يعني الآن نشوف مستر إكساندر طلب من ميلوستيك أن يتعاون معاه الآن، وفعلا تبدو الصورة هكذا.
ولكن ما زال لدينا نقطتين للصعود بالنسبة للقميص المنقط، وينافس بشكل قوي هذا اللاعب مستر إكساندر من الفئة الثانية. المنافسة قوية منذ انطلاقة الأولى لهذه الفئة وحتى الآن. آخر 100 متر والمنافسة على السبرنت، وبالفعل اللاعب دانيال هو بالمركز الأول يستطيع أن ينهيها.
Okay, so you may just be joining us here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. You may have been in from the start. Technical issues mean that we are in the process of doing a game restart for our riders. It's going to apply to all race categories. So where we're at the moment, we need our riders, please, if you haven't done already, please jump out of the game and then go in and restart the game. So restart the complete game from scratch and go back into the event to get you onto the start line once again. At the moment, all the races are on hold until we get the riders back into those start pens, a bit like a physical race where we have to drag them back from halfway up the course. We want our riders to jump back into those start pens, please, guys. So please make sure you do a reset and get yourselves back into those start pens as soon as possible. And that means we can get the race, qualifier race number 3 away. So quick reminder, race start technical issues at the moment mean that we are going to have to restart all categories. All categories will go as one race
start. There will be no staggered start. So you will not see category 4 before 3, before 2, before 1. It will be one race start for all 4 race categories. That will happen simultaneously when the team behind the scenes are happy that they can send all of the riders away. Before that, let's give you a quick reminder of where our riders are heading and just keeping a track on all the messages. Emma here in the studio. I'm going to give Emma a break from doing the profile, so I'll have a little run through for you. As you can see, we have got 4 sprints along our race route today of 45 kilometres. The Artist Alley Sprint, the Al D1 Sprint, the Green City Sprint and the Cliff Sprint. Each of those with points allocated 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. The leader of that competition wearing the green skin suit in each of our categories. The climb competition works in a similar fashion. The Heritage Climb shown in red along with the Canyon Oasis Climb and the Nabatean Cave Climb. Points awarded. More points you get, more likely you are to be at the top of that leaderboard. And guess what? Because it's a climb, it's a polka dot skin suit. The arches that mark the start and finish of those through the segment time sections are basically the same colour. So green arches for the sprints, polka dot arches for the climbs. The race and the prizes themselves are awarded for the scratch race in each category, so that is from 0 through to the 45 kilometre mark. So if you're first over the line in your category, you're going to take first place. If you're second over the line, you're going to take second, all in each of our race categories. The total time and distance is key, 45k to cover. This is what our riders are racing for. We have today in our qualifiers, and each and every qualifier except for the last Sunday in the month, just an individual classification. You can see that on the right-hand side of your screen. It also applies to the finals next week, where we have our team classification as well. So the individual classification runs 432 AED in 5th, all the way to 2,160 AED in 1st in category 4. That applies today. It also applies in our final, but in the finals, we also have that team classification prizes, which are huge, 3 riders to count. We move from category 4 to category 3 to category 2 and then to category 1. The prizes go up. So top prize in category 3, 3,600 AED today. And you can see that team prize bumps up as well. Category 3 to category 2, no prizes to you for guessing. Guess what it does? It goes up again. So you can see the top prize individually today, and on each of our races individually, 6,000 AED. It's 30,000 AED for the team win next week. That is a huge amount of money in whatever currency you use. Now, when we move from category 2 to category 1, the top of the tree from our standard category is working right up to category 1, our elite category. 5,000 AED for 5th place to 50,000 AED for 1st in the team classification. Individually today, 2,000 AED, 4,000, 6,000, 8,000 from 5th to 2nd respectively, with the winner taking away 10,000 AED for 1st place. A humongous amount of prize money available. That's a new word for the day, humongous. And don't forget, of course, that is paid out to riders who've been verified. They have to go through the Power Passport. They have to make sure they get the way in and sorted. So you can see the riders up and racing. Looks like we are away and racing in categories 1, 2, 3, and 4. A simultaneous race start on the restart here, and you can see riders coming flying out. There's a lot of riders. This is going to make for an absolutely huge bunch heading up the road. Getting to the front is key. Do you know what? It's a bit like old times when we used to have all the riders off together.
I was just looking at this thinking, this is like retro Sunday race club, because once upon a time,
we should do this every now and then.
Once upon a time, this is what we used to do. All 4 categories starting at exactly the same point, all away together, and it used to look like this. Absolutely phenomenal. Category 1, 2, 3 and 4, all out of the pens together, and the category 1 riders will come to the fore. You can see them working their way through the fields, and because the 4 different start pens, it does take a little bit of time, but there's some phenomenal draft to get there.
So the riders up and out from the start. So we're definitely going racing today. We're out on the race route. We're heading towards the Elephant Rock. You can see that elephantine shape in the amazing graphics on screen. That matches the actual rock that you can see if you head out into this part of the world. At the moment, the riders will be focused on making the way to the front of the group. You do not want to get caught in splits. The old hands at this will know that if a gap goes, you've got to close it down immediately. And the danger is if you're in one of the categories further back down the race route and a gap is left. So, for example, maybe a rider in front of you in category 4 or 3 can't hold the wheel of a category 1 rider. No surprises there. The problem is if you're a category 1 rider, you're behind that gap. You've got to make your way up. We're just in with Ivan Nuki here. He'll have been teaching all the kids at the coaching at the Abu Dhabi Cycling Club where we had the privilege to visit. He'll have told them that they've got to deal with things like having a race restart, getting yourself back onto the bike, maybe getting stopped mid-race, dealing with different issues. It's all part of being a bike rider. It happens in all disciplines across the plethora of disciplines that are covered by the UCI. And the riders have to get themselves in there. It looks like now Betty's going to have a cooler ride here today, just distance from that blisteringly quick race start. So making his way in and through. So we're going to see now, Emma, that bunch have absolutely motored the way up here. Jason Osborne, the world champion, is in here. He's got to be used to this as world champion.
Well, do you know, and that's it. And when you talk to riders, it's a mental game as well. Things happen. Starts get delayed, riders get punctures, bikes you can't, don't, because at the World Championships in Zurich, we were just on the Zurich course with the women. At the World Championships in Zurich, one of the riders in the individual time trial wasn't able to go out on the time trial bike, and it wasn't until he got to the start pen that the commissaire said no, because it wasn't a correct bike. So he had to then get his road bike because he didn't have a spare time trial bike. All sorts of things can happen at the start of a bike race, and the mental game just as important. And you're right, Matt. You know, the riders we talked about at the World Champs, and we talked to Osborne and other riders like that, they prepare for the mental game as well.
And I have to say, having had the pleasure of putting words to the action across discipline, that on esports here on MyWhoosh, we have relatively few. It's only the second restart I can think of in what must be 600 races on Sunday Race Club. That is quite a phenomenal record, because I'll tell you something, there's more restarts in a national trophy cyclocross in a season than there is that, and they don't have 600 races. Yeah, under 16 boys piling it on the floor on the start line. It is something that happens in all disciplines, and relatively few occurrences here. At the moment, this big pack of riders, a multitude of colour, predominantly a yellow and green up at the front, but one man who has completed his warm-up, I quote, from Martin. Thank you very much for sending the message through. On the front, trying to break clear from the entire bunch of category 1, 2, 3, and 4. Martin Janowski, what a man. Not only did he go on the offensive, he's gone on the offensive again.
Well, he has indeed. And well, why not? Thoroughly warmed up, ready to go, and ready to go off the front of the pack. And Cam Winfield also in the chase. But take a look at that. Hayden Pucker is there. He's in the mix too. And well, you've done it once, you can do it again. Ollie Jones coming to the front of the field. And what a phenomenal opportunity for our category 2 riders, though, to mix it up with Cat 1. A number of these riders, are on the verge. They're right on that limit of making Cat 1. And this really gives them an opportunity.
And we're seeing Cat 3 in there as well. And one of the things I would definitely say here is there's two ways of looking at this. And this really does show riders' mental game. Some of these riders are going to be going, oh my goodness, it's so negative, all these bad thoughts. Other riders are going to be going, right, they've got that reset. They've got that mental reset and that start again attitude. So basically they reset, jump back on and go again and go, right, this is my opportunity to mix it up, to maybe learn how to ride with Cat 1, to see just how hard it is. And that is really, really key, that to see how they respond. And we see that in lots of different ways. I had the pleasure of chatting to a lot of people on the Crosscast, the Cyclocross podcast that we that I do. And a lot of it, that reset, we've got a new, pretty much almost seems to be permanent co-hosting Zan Creed, a regular rider, racer at the sharp end of international races. And she always talks about being able to reset your brain is as important as having the ability to race and to have the physical ability, because there is always something that will happen. You never ever get through without an issue.
Well, I always used to think cyclocross racing, particularly at national level and, well, even at the World Masters, was the fact that your race isn't over till the finish line. Whatever happens to you could happen to somebody else. So just don't stop. You race to that finish line and it is not over till you're there.
And of course, we have lots of Sunday race clubs each and every Sunday of the year. So jump on board. We've got lots of great racing coming up as well. This race at the moment, Trojanski, we've got Pucker up there, Bjarhead, Knudsen, Planter.
Yeah,
We're starting to steadily see more and more Category 1. Now, I have to say, if I was a Category 1 rider and had the ability, I would not want to be sat in that big bunch. Because when we go flying down the race route, as we are at the moment, what's going to happen? If you get caught on the wrong side of a split, the wrong side of that bunch, you're going to be in trouble. You want to be off the front. Ruben Don, a man who has moved his way up through the categories, has gone through with the fastest time there. And what I'm loving about that, you've got Don, you've got Lasner, who already has had a fast flying start. You've got SS, who we know is going to be in sprint, and Pino, who is always sprinting. We've got each and every category in the top 4.
Well, I know, but it's absolutely fabulous to see. And you don't have to wait for Category 1 to come through to get those sprint results up, because they're up, and Hayden Pucker is up and raring to go at the moment. And I'll tell you something, at 3:30 this morning, he messaged to say he was on his bike and ready to go for the Sunday Race Club. He's had a little bit of extra time to wake up. Well, this is what it does.
And did I not see that Hayden Pucker just signed up for the Echelon Racing?
You are right indeed. Hayden Pucker is indeed one of the riders who has signed up for Echelon Racing. One of the series just announced on MyWhoosh taking part. And in fact, Jason Osborne has signed up as well. So Osborne and Pucker both signed up for Echelon Racing, and the Echelon Racing series about to take place starting on December the 7th. You can head over to echelonracingleague.com to sign up. Elite categories, but there's also a B and C category as well. So a wide range of riders, both men's and women's, and that series is going to take place starting on December the 7th, then December the 21st and the 28th, January the 4th, January the 11th, and January the 18th. It's going to be a cracking race series. The racing from 28.2k to 37k. It's shorter than the Sunday Race Club, but the league is going to be brilliant. And then it's going to be topped off by the USA National Champs and the Canadian National Champs, also being organised by Echelon.
And you'll be able to watch all of the racing on the MyWhoosh YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe to that. And you can see all the racing action.
And you know what? Racing. I'm going to celebrate my birthday on January the 4th, commentating on the Echelon Racing League.
There you go. I'm going to celebrate your birthday by not. Very busy. It's going to be a very busy time running in through lots of racing to put words to the action too. Lots of great action here. I'll tell you something, no surprises to me to see Mr. X100 up and battling it out. This is a man who has taken the opportunity. He's thought, right, let's go. We've got the start here. And if you were going to have an issue on the race route, do you know what? I don't want to have the first 16.2. There's only 2 courses I think you would want it to happen on. This one, and on the Columbia course on Paso Alto,
where it's flat,
where it's a flatter start for longer, because it means that the opportunity to sit and race with Category 1 is going to be there for longer, because the draft is in there.
And it's a huge bunch.
And it benefits the rest of the riders. So that huge bunch, and wherever the riders are on the road, there are riders in a bunch, which is fantastic.
This is an absolute opportunity to practice that drafting. All that drafting practice, well, it's paying off today.
So our riders in the lead, you can just see Mr. X100 leading this out. The UAE clan team rider taking the right-hand turn first, but here comes the rest of that group, predominantly categories 1 and 2. There are a number of category 3 riders who are in close attention. Most of the category 4 now struggling to stay with the pace and the speed. You can see there aren't groups further back on the road behind. We're just in with Luke Allport on the left-hand side of your screen. Then Mohammed Al-Qais. These groups just coming in, chasing our leaders. The lead of the race at the moment on the right-hand side of your screen. I have a new key leading out from Pucker. Osborne right in the mix as well. It's rotating really quickly because of the volume of riders behind. Riders are all over the road. And this is going to make for a very different race for our riders as they run in. Quick reminder for you, 16.3k to cover to get to the climb, and that means we are not going to hit that climb until double the distance we've raced so far on the restart.
They are indeed, and it's going to be really, really interesting when we hit the base of the climb, and let's see who goes. Now, the short, sharp, steep climbs as part and parcel of the heritage climb. It is a multi-climbed. I'm not going to call it stepped because it's not stepped because a lot of them have downhills at the top. It is a multi-climbed climb, is the heritage climb, and heritage climb, it is going to be really, really good.
And for me, those sections where those downhills really break up, and it's the twists and turns, because when it's doing that, it's twisting left, it's twisting right, it's twisting left, it's twisting right. You cannot see what's going on in front, particularly when you've got a massive, absolute explosion at the front. And what we're going to see, I think, a bunch of category 1 and 2 potentially going in together. Now, Mr. X100 already on the attack. The riders behind him going through this, but they're category 2 riders. Pierre Fell, Bruce Bird's going for this. Mr. X100 is holding. Remember, the fastest time through the segments are key. But this is just the start of the segment. So they are ripping this up.
Yep.
And one of the things they need to bear in mind, that when we've gone through the Al D1 sprint, which is where we're at the moment, there is a rise coming up. You can see it top right-hand side of your screen. From right to left, that white line is moving across. The yellow vertical bar is the position of the riders. And as they go through, you're going to make your way in and go through and onto that climb. It's steep. You need a little bit of sliding room. And I reckon that is one of the reasons we're seeing some of these category 2 riders getting a little bit of time and a little bit of a gap. Because if they can do that, they're going to open up. Now, sprint times. Essex is just putting through the fastest sprint time. He's just overtaken Lado up at the top of the screens. That Allport in all these riders must be in the front pack as well, because the speed that they're coming through at, very quick indeed.
Yeah, it is indeed. And that front pack absolutely motoring. So X100, Bird, SS, Fell, Pucker, Nuki, Nitko and Jacobs are the riders in the top 8 at the moment on the ride. But through the sprint, it was SS, Labno, Allport, Bird, Kane, X100, Fell, Squilari, Kansara and Edwards. So interesting to see the mix here. Cam Winfield, the young rider, as well in the mix now, an under-23 rider from Australia who's had a summer season racing on the road out in Italy, back now in Australia, and really starting to mix it up. He did indeed have a win in Qualifier 1 in November in Category 2, took the sprint because the top 5 finished within 2 seconds of each other. And as we said, the Category 2 riders really mixing it up here. But Osborne is in the mix. Vink is in the mix. We were talking last week about seeing Jason Osborne, the world champion, go up against Michael Vink. Didn't happen last week because Jason Osborne wasn't on the start line. Today, it is going to happen.
If you see Michael Vink,
I have.
Oh, well, there we go. We will soon see if
Casper
that comes.
Bormans is here.
Let's see
Jason
how this plays out as they go through.
Is here. Pucker is here. They are all in the mix, and so is Vu Yassin, who is the only rider who has been able to go with Vink over the last 2 weeks.
Let's see if that plays out. Is that going to happen? At the moment, the leaders on the road are all Category 2 riders who've got that sliding room. The gap has come down as they've gone over the top of this climb. Our Category 1 riders, Jones, Vijestin and Safasedi on the left-hand side of your screen. And at the moment, Vijestin looking pretty cool and collected here. Safasedi just looking focused on the group. Jones tapping out a nice rhythm. They are not panicking about those Category 2 riders who've gone down the road.
Well, no, because it will all sort itself out on the heritage climb, or at least I reckon that's what they will be thinking at the moment.
So down to the very front of the race, Mr. X100 Bruce Bird with a little bit of a gap. It looks to me like PFL just dropping back a little bit here, not able to stay with the pace. Interestingly, the rider you're just going to see come up is the man in the green skin suit. That's the Category 2 sprint leader. After our 2 sprints so far, and that is SS, the teammate of Mr. X100. He literally goes onto the wheels of Fell and sits there.
Yeah.
Just marks him out. He's not going to go on the front. He's certainly not going to go towing back up to Mr. X100 and Bruce Bird, who are leading this out. Bormans, Fink, Nuki, Pucker, the leading riders in the bunch behind. So at the moment, the riders in the lead on the left-hand side of your screen, Mr. X100 and Bruce Bird coming down into the Green City Sprint. This oasis at the moment with its lush vegetation surrounding the side of this race route. The green banner at the end is going to send a signal the end of this sprint. The chasers behind are just coming into the sprint.
Well, they are indeed, and it's 12, 13, 14 seconds back. And in that mix, Plantro, Vink, Pucker, Winfield, all in there. And it's going to be interesting to see Ivan Nuki is there as well, Jason Osborne, Nicky Hoog. These riders are all in the mix, but X100, Bruce Bird, SS. It's SS putting in the sprint here, going through that Green City Sprint and pushing on. It's a final sprint before we get to the Heritage Climb. And we've got around 3.5 kilometers until we are there. Pan flat. This pack is going to roll. They're going to try and bring in the riders off the front, but it's SS who takes the Green City Sprint. 22 seconds. Plantero, X100, Bird, Osborne, Power, Kane, Winfield, Panizza, and Hoog. You can see Category 2 and Category 1 jerseys smattered all over the top 10.
Well, really interesting. We set off, we had all 4 colours, the red of Category 4, the blue of Category 3, the green of Category 2, and the yellow of Category 1. Now we're seeing predominantly a green and a yellow, but there are riders from Category 3 in there.
Mixed in the mix. And you can see on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, you can see the colours on the road, and you can see where the pack is on the road and where the rider on the breakaway is. And it was 2 groups. Those groups coming back together now to form a massive group peloton rolling on the road. 2 riders down the road, Bird and X100, and it's Bjorn Andreasen, the Danish rider, leading the charge from behind. Oh, look at that. Osborne's just joined Andreasen. So Osborne, the world champion for 24. Andreasen, the world champion from 23, leading the group, leading the charge behind. It's a class race field.
It's an absolutely class race field. And, you know, if you were in any other discipline, you wouldn't be able to go race with the world champion. I mean, it happens every now and then. You know, I've seen Evie Richards, cyclocross rider, mountain bike world champion, ride in local leagues. It does happen every now and then, but it's pretty rare. You certainly don't get to do it from the delightful settings of your conservatory, which is where Todd Allen Young is at the moment in Sweden. Just at the moment, making the most of this. Now we're just taking a little bit of a dive down the group. Taylor Gonsolin, the sprint leader in Category 3, just holding on to the tail of that group.
But that pack, 79 riders in that leading pack still.
Okay. Is that... No. Can't be. No, they're about to come into the right-hand turn. This is a chasing group.
Well,
it's
you're
got to
right,
be.
actually, it's the second group.
Surely it's got to be. It's got to be.
It'd be good to find out.
There's so many groups, absolutely all over the place.
It would be great to work out actually how many are in that leading group, and that's what
Good
we need
luck.
to work out. So Eric Rimbaud, Alec West, Diduch is in here, Yeast, Kiernoski, Dadson in this group as well. Back on the other side of the screen, though, Bird and X100 are coming up to the 15-kilometre mark, and you can see this is the leading group on the road of 2. There's a large group, and then there's this chase group.
Okay, so chasing group trying to close down the leaders. The leaders at the moment clear at the front. X100, Bruce Bird, the riders who are leading this out. 18 seconds is the gap. It's huge. I reckon the main bunch figure they can close that down
Can
pretty
I just
much
say,
at will.
the Category 3 riders, those blue jerseys that are in that leading group, congratulations, because 15 kilometres now underway out of this 45-kilometre race, and we've still got Category 3 riders in this big group.
Luke Allport in the group.
What a cracking ride!
I'm sure
from
I saw
Allport.
Ridley in this group
Yep.
as well. Category 3 rider. Brilliant ride. They've gone. One of the things is on this section, you've got to go with it. Look at Luke. It's not surprising.
Just cool down.
Yeah, I hope that he picked up the right bottle because I've done that before with the fueling drink, with the isotonic drink in, instead of doing it with the water. It's
Very sticky.
it's not the best thing to do on the way through, but I think you got the right one there, judging by the colour of it. Great riding. Interesting, the riders who've been able to do it, riders who can sprint, Luke Allport and Ridley, they really are riders who have the ability.
They've got a really big kick.
To kick. And that's what's allowed them, I think, to stay with the leading group.
Yeah.
Now, Nicky Huggin here, one of our Swiss riders, the rider in Category 1. A very organised paint cave there in the background. Medals hung up as well as helmets, bike on the back. Always good to have some inspiration around you when you're out and racing. But the leaders, well, they're inspired. Bruce Bird at the moment with Mr. X100 hit the base of the climb with a 26. I'm going to repeat that, 26-second lead at the base of the first climb, the Heritage Climb, 5.8 kilometres of distance, 333 meters of climbing. The main bunch are rolling in now. We're just in with Ivan Nuki, Ivan of the Abu Dhabi Cycling Club, the man who at the moment is holding the pace here, and he's a man who can climb really, really well. So it's going to be interesting to see how these riders go on. The riders who had the pace and the kick to stay with the group now are potentially going to be at a disadvantage. This is when it's going to be about having the power to weight ratio to climb with the best. Will they close that gap down to the two leaders before the summit? Will they continue to open up the gap to the riders behind? Time will tell. But this is the first part. 2 mini steps, 3 big steps in the middle. And they aren't, well, they're not steps, as Emma says. They actually have a downhill section on the far side. And unless you live in some ancient house with the steps falling apart, you don't go downhill when you put your foot on it. But that is what these riders are going to find. It climbs up. Then when it twists around, you've got little descents all over the place. And that is going to cause problems. Interestingly, some Category 1 riders coming off the back of this group on the climb, whilst in the lead of that group, we've not just got Category 1, we've got Category 3 and Category 2 in with the front
Tell you
group.
what, there's around 40 riders in that group, and we're about to start to see riders get distance off the back, but 40 riders at the front of the race. Absolutely brilliant. Going into the Heritage Climb at 17 kilometres together. And those two riders, Luke Allport and Lewis Ridley, you can see the two blue jerseys now coming to the back of the group. But congratulations to Ridley and Allport. What phenomenal riding.
Yep, Lewis Ridley of Take That and Luke Allport of Level Racing. 4 to stay with that group. The climb has come, and this is where Category 1 and 2 should be able to ride clear, and where the Category 1 chasers should be able to close the gap down on our two leaders on the right-hand side of your screen. Bruce Bird, Mr. X100. The gap coming in was 26 seconds. It's down to 17 seconds at the moment. What will that gap be at the top? Will there be a gap, or will they get closed down? The summit of this climb does not come till 22.1 kilometres covered. And at the moment, the two leaders in there. Meanwhile, we are seeing riders going backwards. On Jacobs, it looks like, has lost contact with the main group. It looks like Sarah Carradine has got company here. Could see Michael Knudsen back and racing. Welcome back, Michael. He's currently just with Carradine. Carradine, one of our regular riders in Category 2. Nick Squilari in there with Category 3, Ryan Giuliano, Mohamed Al-Qais, all in this big group here. And there's plenty of company on the climb. because there's so many categories coming in together.
Well, there are indeed. And as we said, 40 riders went into the base of the climb pretty much together, other than the 2 riders who took the flyer off the front to give themselves some room. But we're at the back of the group at the moment with Saeed Carradine. He is there and pushing on. Knudsen is there as well. In fact, he's on Knudsen's wheel Michael Knudsen in 43rd place. He's been off the Sunday Race Club for a number of weeks this month, and this is his first race this month, I think, if my memory serves me right. Shuran is the rider up ahead. It's a 5-second gap now. Nick Scolari, what a ride from him as well in 45th place, just off the back of Knudsen. Edwards is there as well. They're all on the climb in these little kickers. They are short, they are steep. There is a slight respite, but only just. And we continue to push and continue to work here.
So we're in with the Category 3 rider, Nick Scolari. Nick Scolari actually holds the fastest time on this climb in Category 3. His time, 15 minutes 52. Now, to put that into context, the fastest time in Category 4, 17 minutes. Nick Scolari holding the fastest time in Category 3 at 15:52. In Category 2, the fastest time up here, 14 minutes 15. And the fastest time overall, Ollie Jones, is 12:31.
Well, I can tell you now, the Category 1 riders coming to the fore. We're in with Lionel Vujasin. You can see him up and out of the saddle, just sat down. Currently up the front with Kaminsky and Osborne, Pucker, Safrazadi, Vink, Jones and Panizza. 8 riders there at the front of this race. As the climb, well, it is really starting to move on. But this particular section now, actually, there is a lot of respite here now for these riders, and we're going to see this group come together. We're going to see Panizza deck at that, just closing down onto the back. So the riders at the head of the race now, Category 1. We've got 8 riders pushing on here. Jones, Vink, Vujasin, Osborne, Safrazadi, Pucker, Kaminsky and Panizza.
So the very front of the race, hitting the next little rise. It's going to drop slightly again. The 2 riders, Bruce Bird and Mr. X100, honourable mentions, guys, for holding out so long. But they have been washed away by the pace, the power, the climbing ability of our Category 1 riders who started at the same time. For a change, all our riders going together. If you're just joining us, every single category having exactly the same race start, making the way out as one budge from the pens. However, the Category 1 riders now really coming to the fore as we make our way up the first climb of the day. This climb kicked off at 16.3 kilometers. As we went on to the hill, the 2 initial leaders who had 26 seconds, Bruce Bird and Mr. X100, being washed back through the group as the leading group of 8 riders starts to go clear. Behind, they're not giving up, though. There are some really fearsome chases coming.
Well, they're not now. We've got 7 riders now because Ricardo Panizza just dropping off the back of the group. X100 is giving chase on the recovery section of this climb. Seb Dvert is there, Martin Martins, Bjorn Andreasen. The group behind is big. So we've got a lead group of 12. We've got Panizza just on his own. He's about to be joined, though, by the chase group of Dvert, Martins, Plantero et al. And there you can see Panizza in his pain cave, in his casket, leading this group now. This group is the chase group on the road. 2 riders in here in green jerseys.
Yep,
Category 2 leaders.
This X100 and Bruce Bird. Now, whilst they've dropped back from the race lead itself, they are still leading Category 2. And a quick reminder for anybody who's maybe new to the Sunday Race Club, prize money is per category. So there's no overall prize list. It is for each category having the prize. If you want to see where that is, do a scroll back when you finish watching the racing. There's a summary in there. The racing is probably going to come too thick and fast for us to squeeze it in. Again, just to remind you, don't forget, of course, whilst you are watching the racing, don't forget all of the time gaps at the moment are live time gaps shown on the right-hand side of the screen. It's from one rider to another. The rider that it's from is the rider you're watching. In the case of the screen on your left, that's Lionel Vujasin. The second from the left, Mr. X100. From the right is Ian Lloyd, and then second from the right is Nick Scolari. They are the leaders at the moment each of their respective categories, or in the leading group in each of their respective categories. Luke Allport in category 3 got riding really, really strongly. Laszlo doing a great job of hitting those sprints,
he's done a brilliant
all
job
the way through in category 4. At the very front of the race, category 1 leaders, the 8 riders are starting to break. They are starting to break because Hayden Pucker now has lost contact with the very front of the race. The pressure that's being put on by Jason Osborne and Michael Vink is opening the gap. And at the moment, Saeed Safrazadi is the only rider who can go with the 2 leaders.
Yeah, he is indeed. So Osborne, Vink and Safrazadi, the 3 riders clear. Kaminsky and Vuyasin, teammates with Jones. Jones just 2 seconds back. Hayden Pucker just not quite in contention. He's 10 seconds back on Jones. Dvert, the young rider from Belgium, now coming up into 8th position. So it is all changing out there on the climb. 20.5 kilometres now into this 45-kilometre race. The climb finishes at 22k. There's 1.5 kilometers of climbing to go.
Well, this is going to be a tough day at the races for many, many riders. I think the toughest place to be at the moment is the wheels of Saeed Safrazadi. He's sat on Michael Vink and Jason Osborne, 2 absolute class acts, 2 people who've got rainbow jerseys, 2 riders who know exactly how to ride and ride as hard. At the moment, they're battling it out, and you can see at the moment Saeed Safrazadi doing an amazing job here, holding 3rd wheel, sitting in those wheels. He's got Kaminsky, Jones and Justin, the trio from the Alpha Jaws squad behind, so they could come up and make some ground. And it could well be that if those 3 riders stay together, that they are then able to team time trial their way down the downhill section where the speed will be higher, and working as a team in the draft will help. But at the moment, Osborne and Vink setting the pace in this leading trio of riders up on the front. The fastest time up this climb to date in category 1 was 12 minutes 31. We're going to have to see if that time will stand when the riders get to the top of the climb. It's not going to be all that long because at the moment, you can see the leaders on the left-hand side of your screen, 21.2k covered. They've got less than a kilometre to the top. They're just into this little tunnel section with the window out to the left-hand side. Leaders are flying.
Well, a lot of our riders may well know a lot about Michael Vink and Jason Osborne. And if you watch the Sunday Race Club, you'll know a lot about Saeed Safrazadi, the Iranian rider, 3 times national road race champ, 3 times national individual time trial champ. He has won and is a GC rider. That's what he does. He's won the Tour of Iran. He has raced for years on the road. His palmarès goes back over 10 years, more like 15 of road racing out on the roads, and absolutely class road rider. And he's absolutely class Sunday Race Club competitor as well.
He is indeed. I think this is going to be really, really interesting how this plays out. Can he hold them at bay? He's just hanging on to those wheels. Come on, Saeed, digging deep. This is the time to hold those wheels. You've got one more step to come after this, and then you're going to be over the top. The gap has opened up behind, 23 seconds back. This is a great ride. I mean, a great road rider, you say, a great mountain bike rider.
Yeah.
We see him on stages outdoors. You can see the trophy cabinet behind
I know.
him. I mean, it says everything. Class rider, class act, can do the business indoors or out. He is chasing the 2 riders. Can he make contact? Well, we are going to have to see if he can get on to the heels. The gap, it's so tenuous. He closes it down again. Great riding. 3 riders at the front.
Well,
the
they're nearly
chase
there.
behind. 40-some seconds back now.
Well, they're nearly at the top. The riders have got literally tens of meters to go because that's the polka dot banner signifying the top of the heritage climb. Jason Osborne, the reigning world champion, goes over in 1. Michael Vink goes over in 2. And Safra Zadie goes over in 3. The chase is 20 seconds back, and it's Ollie Jones and Mikhail Kaminski. Lionel Vujasin 18 seconds back. Then Hayden Pucker a further 10. It's going to be interesting to see if some of those riders come together and the group gets bigger on the descent. And I think it may well. But the 3 riders at the head of this race are well and truly clear.
It's going to be an interesting run.
Are
No, they are. Surely nobody's going. They're not going to get back on now. I think we've got Vink and Osborne on the front. We've got Sayed Safrazodi having to chase back on because he was just that little bit behind. Then you've got the chasing group starting to come. This is the biggest chasing in a group that has the volume on the way down through at the moment. It's currently Mr. X100, Ricardo Panizza, Martin, Seb DeVere and co, who are chasing. Now they're chasing Lionel Vujasin, who is at 17 seconds. Then it's Kaminski Jones, who are currently 20 seconds in front of Vujasin. There are enough riders dot to dot for them to think we can pull these positions back because you've got this long downhill. It's 8 kilometers from the summit of this climb to the Canyon Oasis climb. And if you've got a big group and you work together, you can pull this back. Now, climb times. Osborne, Vink, and Say Safrazadi going up. The fastest time recorded to date, 12 minutes 31, blown apart by the time of Jason Osborne. Osborne, Vink, and Safrazadi all breaking that time. You can see, though, that behind that time wouldn't have been broken by Kaminski Jones with Justin Martins and co. And those time gaps are big behind. Those are the times through the segment from the bottom of the climb to the top of the climb. That's not the gaps on the road.
Well, it's not at all, but Jason Osborne and Michael Vink almost looking like one rider there because they're literally so close. But Osborne in that polka dot skin suit, Vink in yellow, Safrazadi 8 seconds back at the moment, and then over 40 seconds back to the chase of Kaminski and Jones. Vujasin is currently sitting between the gaps at the moment, and Panizza is there as well. But X100 is right up in the mix.
He's got the polka dot skin suit as well, but with the number 2 on his back because he is the fastest rider in category 2. He's held the wheels. He has pulled himself into contention. He's dug deep. He's a rider who thrives on racing and on competition. I'll tell you something. He has been a regular category 1 rider. Is this the time where he pulls out the ride that pushes him back into category 1?
Well, it's going to be really interesting to see at the moment how he does. But all he's got to do now is hang on to the back of that pack. But Osborne, Osborne and Vink are absolutely motoring at the front of the race now on the descent. And Safrazadi desperately trying to close down the gap. But the 2 riders are gone. They're 17 seconds down the road. But this is interesting because it's not really till we get to the bottom of the climb where we're really going to get a great time check because of the difference of terrain on this descent. There's some very steep sections, there's some flatter sections and some uphill sections, and it is going to be quite difficult to actually give a proper time check back there until we get to the bottom.
Well, I just saw a quick picture of Fel, one of our French riders, on his way over the top. The riders that we were looking at the moment, though, they are the chasing riders here. Panizza with Martins, with DeVere and Pucker at the moment. 4 riders together on the way down the descent. Here it's going to level off and then kick again. They are moving well. I absolutely love this shot where you're looking down off the sides of the mountain, off the wooden boardwalk. You can see the little pockets of water being held in the mountain, a bit like a rock pool at the seashore. Only the
reservoir, more likely.
Well, no, I'm thinking like the tide went out a few millennia ago
up
to the top. But it's
and
that
it never
kind
came
of
back.
pocket there. It never came back. It was a high tide that day. So the riders on the way down from the heritage climb. You can see the leaders on the left-hand side. Now, Osborne...
I've got Blondie playing in my head right now.
Okay. Let's change that to some stats. Let's get Emma back on some happier ground. Now, Michael Vink versus Jason Osborne. Michael Vink has beaten Jason Osborne 21 times.
How many times has Osborne beaten Vink?
15.
Oh my gosh.
Now, that would you would think would put the ball firmly in Michael Vink's court. However, this gets really interesting. In terms of 20-minute power, 5-minute power, and 1-minute power, Michael Vink produces more. Just. And I mean just. We're not talking much, we're talking a couple of percent. In terms of 5-second power, though, Michael Vink produces 1,026 watts. 5-second power for Jason Osborne, it's bigger than 1,026. It is 1,171 watts. Osborne is also 5 kilos lighter.
Oh, well.
So, on the course that has 2 short climbs and a flat run to the finish, this
Do you know
is
what?
going to be really, really interesting.
Do you know what? I think this is either can one of them ride away from the other? But the type of terrain we've got now, I think this could be about actually who's got the highest sprint power for the longest. So who's got a good 15 to 20 second effort?
Well, I can't tell you that. I can tell you 5 seconds or 1 minute. Take your pick.
Because I think that's where it's going to break, and it's going to break potentially. I think the Canyon Oasis climb is too short. It's 1.5 kilometers with an average gradient of 4.9. It does get very steep and it's short. But then, do you know what? The Nabatean cave climb, you know, it's got an average gradient of 6.1%. But these two, I mean, you've got just. This is the battle I wanted to see. And Jason Osborne is riding high on that rainbow jersey. And boy, I hope he's wearing it today.
I hope he is. Do you know the first time these two battled against each other on the Sunday Race Club, which was then the Friday Race Club, was back at the end of December 2021.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you something. X100 currently in the Polka Dot Skin Suit is leading the Category 2 race at the moment. Oh, he has managed to stay in this group and he is absolutely motoring. Sieb de Wert, the Belgian rider in the mix, Ricardo Panizza, Martin Martins, Mikkel Plantro, Kel Power, Andreasen are the riders. They're 50 seconds back. That's the next chasing group.
It is really interesting to see that Saeed Safrazadi is still sandwiched in between.
Yeah, he is.
Saeed Safrazadi absolutely flying. He is a rider who was also in that same race back in 2021. So was Bruce Bird and Mr. X100, two of our early attackers onto the same climb.
Well, I'll tell you something. X100 is currently leading Category 2. Category 2 further back there, you can see the chases, and there's a lot of riders chasing. In fact, Zach Nair is sat in that pack as well, and they are just behind the chase group in Cat 1. So this is a chase group in Cat 2. Fell is there, Havo is there, Keradine is there, Khan is there. That is the chase. And they are chasing X100. In fact, there we go. We're in with the chase now. So Havo, Keradine, Fell, Grombert, Khan, Kayan. This is the Category 2 chase. Angus Bengtsson is further up the road, though. He's in with James Krasnich. So we've actually got a number of chasing groups on the road. This is what looks like Group 3 in the Category 2 race. Keradine is there on your screen at the moment. And we are going through a huge race field to try and bring you this. And you can see, actually, the group ahead, 30 seconds up the road. Bengtsson on the back of that. Wow, it is just everywhere all over the road. They're on the descent at the moment off of the Heritage Climb. It's an 8-kilometer descent from the top of the Heritage Climb to the base of the Canyon Oasis Climb that comes at 30.1k.
So 30.1k, the distance the riders have to travel from our start line to hit the base of that Canyon Oasis climb. Guess what? Not all that far away. It's Saeed Safrazadi. 30.6k covered at the moment for the leaders, the two leaders onto that climb. At the a little bit further back, we're just going to take a quick look in here with David Winfield. He's currently got the climber's polka dot jersey in Category 4, so scoring those points on the Heritage Climb. Great ride by
Squillari
him.
is a minute up the road on this group. That's interesting. Robert Edwards is up there as well. Van Vellegem is in the mix. It's going to be interesting to see see if we could ever find Luke Allport, because I'd love to know where he is.
He's all put his way into oblivion at the moment. You can't find him anywhere. So our riders are racing the way in to the climb. You can see top right-hand side of your screen the course profile coming up. We're in with Mr. X100. Behind him, Ivan Yuki and SS are on the way. Now, I know for a fact that Ivan Yuki climbs this climb really, really well. I also know that SS climbs this climb really, really well. Having watched them race this time and time again, this is their territory. It's more explosive. Has Mr. X100 done too much too soon? We will find out. Meanwhile, the production team have worked minor miracles with a search that is better than anything you've seen before. They found Luke Allport.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. Take a look at that. There he is. He absolutely motoring. He's in the chase group in the category 3 race. Now, I can tell you, I have the Heritage Climb results in front of me. Let me just see what I can tell you about these races. So, category 3, I can tell you that Nick Scolari, Robert Edwards, Ryan Dummer, Kears Noski, East Ridley, and Ramirez were some of the fastest riders in that category over the top of the Heritage Climb. In category 2, X100, Ivan Yuki, Philip Graves, Christoph Thiem, and SS set the fastest times over the climb. In category 4, David Winfield, James Robinson, JD Abello, Kevin Horsley, Jeff Rooney. They are the riders going over the top of the climb with the fastest times in those categories. That doesn't necessarily mean they are at the front of the race, but highly likely.
Well, the very front of the race at the moment, Justin Osborne and Michael Vink going over the Canyon Oasis climb. Behind the riders on the right-hand side of your screen, chasing at the moment. Saeed Safrazadi, the rider who's just approaching the banner. Then behind him is Jones along with Kaminsky. Here comes Saeed Safrazadi. He's going to go over the top of this climb in 3rd place. Then it's going to be Kaminsky and Jones in 4th and 5th places. So at the moment, the fastest time up there by Osborne and Vink. Then it's Safrazadi. Then it's going to be Kaminsky and Jones. Then a gap 37 seconds back to the Pucker Panitsa Vujestin chasing pack that also contains Mr. X100 if he's managed to hold on to the wheels on the climb, and he's the leader in category 2. Jones goes over the top. This is that big chasing pack. They're on the way, and I think they have dispatched Mr. X100 from this group. He's now at 20 seconds down, but still leading in category 2. He's got to hold on here. There is a big pack coming behind, and it contains Ivan Yuki and SS.
I know, and X100 has been caught in the latter stages of the race. He always pushes on really, really hard, really, really strongly at the start for at least the first half of the race, and he has been known to be caught towards the end. Will he get caught today? Only time will tell. But the top 10 riders on the road now, all category 1 riders, and Osborne's gone over with the quickest time. Michael Vink in 2. Mikhail Kaminsky sets the 3rd fastest time over the Canyon Oasis climb. Ollie Jones, Hayden Pucker. Whoa, Pucker's coming through the pack. Take a look at that. Just 8 seconds down over the Canyon Oasis climb. Vujestin Panitsa, Martins Dvert, and Safrazadi is the rider in the top 10 losing time.
Well, let's see who will be coming to the top when we get to the top of the next climb as well. Remember that that's going to be the Nabatean cave climb. That doesn't come in though till 41.4k and finishes at 1.2 kilometers before our finish line. Now, this is where you've got to be smart. If you have been dropped by a group, do you sit up and wait, or do you continue onwards? These two, they're not waiting for anybody. This is the Vink and Osborne battle on the left-hand side of your screen. It contains the polka dot skin suit of Jason Osborne. Michael Vink there, resplendent in the yellow jersey at the moment of category 1. Their gap now over 1 minute back to the chasers. That is a huge, huge gap. This should be a battle between the two for the win. However, further back,
category 2, I can tell you that Bird, SS, Thiem, Nuki, and Graves have all gone up the climb quicker than X100. They are reeling him back.
19 seconds, the current time check between Bruce Bird and Mr. X100. It's a little bit more back to SS, and that is going to be really, really telling. So let's see what's going to happen as we continue onwards. At the moment, Category 1, 34 kilometers covered. The leaders in Category 2 at 32.5k. The leaders of Category 3, well, they, I think, are going to be at 30.6 kilometers at the moment.
David Winfield is in there. That's Category 4.
And that means that the leaders 3 and 4, I think, are together at the moment. Really interesting.
What
David
a
Winfield
ride
is
from
riding
David
really
Winfield.
well, isn't he?
Absolutely superb. Ryan Giuliano is also there and thereabouts, and really interesting to see. But what can you do?
And if you think that we've got Michael Vink and Jason Osborne over a minute clear at the front of the race, and a substantial difference between them and the riders behind, the rest of the race categories, to say they all self at the same time, they are not separated by much distance on the ground.
No, and that's a draft effect, really, isn't it? Because the big numbers going out together, forming big packs on the road, and you've just got to be able to stay on the pack.
Now, if you want to join these riders, if you want to jump in and join in, please, please, please do make sure you go onto MyWhoosh.com, download the app on iOS, Android, and for Windows. Come on board, jump on board, go training, go racing. We want to see you on those bikes.
And this start, let's just say to our viewers, this start very, very different from normal. Normally, 4 individual race starts, 4 individual categories. So the Category 4 riders race the Category 4 riders unless they get caught from behind from a later starting group. Today, with every single group going together, riders have been able to sit on the wheels. I was going to say the coattails, but technically they're sat on the wheels of the other category riders. Now, that's what David Winfield has done, and that's why he's got a 1.5 minute lead in the Category 4 race.
Will he be able to hold up? We will see. Michael Kaminsky working well at the moment on the way in to this next sprint. Currently motoring the way in through Osborne and Vink. 1 minute, 7 seconds down the road. So Jones, Safasedi, Kaminsky at the moment are the chasing group of 3. Then you've got Panizza, Puckett and Martins chasing on behind.
Well, I can give you some very quick updates from the climb because Lewis Ridley has gone up the Canyon Oasis climb, the fastest in Category 3. Nick Scolari is in second up there. Those 2 riders absolutely motoring up that climb.
And are they the only 2 riders from Category 3 who've gone over that point? So 2 leaders.
So 2 leaders. So Nick Scolari and Lewis Ridley leading Category 3. Robert Edwards in 3rd place.
Okay, they're the top 3 at the moment in Category 3. Category 1, well, we know Osborne and Vink leading. Jones, Kaminsky and Safasedi behind. Then it's Fujasin, who we can see on your screen has got a big group with him here. So Panizza, Martins and Co. all in the mix in this chasing group. And they are currently giving away a reasonable amount of time to the riders in front, but it's not all over yet by any stretch of the imagination because we've got this long drop down and then we kick in to our next climb. The final climb is a Nabatean cave climb, which is a 2.4 kilometer climb and finishes 1.2k from the finish.
Well, and I can also confirm now David Winfield is in the lead of the Category 4 race. He has gone over the Canyon Oasis climb in that lead.
So we're going to try and keep you up to date with Category 1, 2, 3 and 4. Bear with us if we don't mention your name today. Oddly enough, we are kind of trying to juggle, as are the team behind the scenes. One thing that nobody's juggling with is the times up there recorded, the times of our riders through the segment of the Cliff Sprint. You can see just how close this is because you have got basically everybody within a few seconds of each other coming through. I don't think that's going to give us any indication at the moment really about how much effort people are putting in, quite simply because of the way that this course runs. That Cliff sprint at the top of a climb dropping into a descent. At the moment, Mr. X100 hitting that Cliff sprint. He was the leader for a long, long time, but he's only got 8 seconds now between him and Bruce Bird behind. That's on the road. Bruce Bird at the moment trying to close down top spot in Category 2 at the moment. So you can see Mr. X100, though, through that sprint, he put in a faster time through the sprint. Oh, no, it's just been updated. These are live, as you can tell. Bruce Bird has just gone over the top here. He went through 1 second. 1 second quicker than Mr. X100, taking that gap back down. So it's currently hovering just under the 10-second marker between 1 and 2 in category 2 at the front of the race in that category.
I can tell you, it's updating right in front of me at the moment, and I can tell you that's not the only category 2 rider that's gone fast, because Phil Graves and SS have gone even quicker.
Wow.
So it is all on in category 2 at the moment. It's all on in category 1, because Vink and Osborne are clear by over a minute from Safra Zaidi, Jones and Kaminsky. Pucker over 2 minutes. Panizza is with Pucker. So it is absolutely battle royale at the front of category 1. Category 2, X100 is now only 7 seconds clear. Oh, it's going to be an interesting final set of kilometers in category 2, and take a look at this pack. The pack here is, well, there's a huge number of category 2 riders, some category 1 riders, but Lewis Ridley is in the mix here in that blue jersey, currently leading the category 3 race.
Ridley's doing a great job, isn't he? I mean, we know that he's absolutely class on the bike. You know,
yes.
I have to say,
oh yes,
I mean, all of our riders who race on the Sunday Race Club, but Lewis Ridley really riding strongly, and he's been improving all the time.
Well, yeah, he was 3rd last week on the Telmarib course. He was 4th in the final for October on the Jebel Hafit. And, you know, it just keeps going. Whenever you take a look at a set of results, Ridley is there or thereabouts at least once a month.
Well, consistency is key if you want to be right up there at the moment. Consistently on the front, Michael Vink and Jason Osborne, because the big 2 have returned. We might be seeing them together for the first time. This intriguing battle between the 2. Have they got a truce called? I'm not sure they need it, with 1 minute 7 seconds to get back to say Safra Zaidi, Ollie Jones and Michael Kaminsky. Pucker at the moment nearly 2 minutes down.
Well, we're in with David Winfield, who's currently leading the category 4 race. I can tell you, Winfield set the fastest time up the Canyon Oasis climb, but Jeff Rooney has set the 2nd fastest time in category 4. Buama the 3rd. And you can see it now. There's a group of riders also coming through. So James Robinson is there as well. Bello, Carrillo, Cridland, Horsley are all there or thereabouts. So we're starting to see those races play out too. So as they now come to, well, as this group now comes, should I say, towards the last 10 kilometres, David Winfield is leading that category 4 race, well and truly ensconced within that group of category 3 riders. Jason Osborne and Michael Vink, well, they've got 4.7 kilometres to go till they see the finish line today, and they are going to be the first riders to see it, because it's a 58-second gap back to the chasing group of 3, Jones, Kaminsky and Safra Zaidi, and then a minute back to Panizza Martins, and I think Pucker was with them as well. On the right-hand side of your screen, X100 now has company, because Bird is with him. Mikel Plantero is sandwiched between them, but Phil Graves is coming too, because the gap back to the chase group is only 13 seconds. This is going to be interesting. What can Bird do? Because Bird is now on the front driving this group. X100 now has to hang on. So this is going to be a really interesting finale, because Graves and Theme, there's company behind. That is a group of category 2 riders chasing.
So right-hand side, the category 2 battle for the race lead. Left-hand side, the clock is kicking down as they're going to be running into the climb in category 1. At the moment, though, Bird and Mr. X100 are really having to drive. They want to keep clear of Grace behind. They've gone over the top now. That gap should increase time-wise as they make the way down there. But it looks to me like they may well be in danger here, because I suspect Phil Grace is getting stronger, and he's got company with Theme, so there is strength of depth behind as well. the slightest hesitation, they're going to be in trouble. This is Graves with Theme at the moment. They're working to go round. But I tell you something, Theme has just come off the front and eased back off in Category 2. Meanwhile, Category 1, left-hand side of your screen, these are the leaders. This is going to be critical. Nabatea and Cave Climb, 2 race leaders. Is this where the race split goes? Would you go now, Emma, if you were Jason Osborne or Michael Vick, if you had the legs?
Well, I would do, because Osborne's just kicked it 10.3 watts per kilo. Jason Osborne absolutely wants this, and I said it was going to be a big kick of power. Big kick of power coming out of Phil Graves and Christoph Thiem at the moment. Now, these two are teammates. They should know how to work together, and they should be able to work together, but they are indeed. But in the Category 1 race at the head of the field, those two big riders, Vink and Osborne, fighting together. Thiem and Graves fighting together here as well.
What a battle, what a race all over the road at the moment. The chase is on and behind. There are riders scattered across the climb. Our 2 race leaders on their final climb. The chase is on, but it looks to me like Jason Osborne, the pretender, has become the world champ, and Michael Vink is losing ground. This could be it. Has Jason Osborne broken Michael Vink? Are we seeing history being made?
Well, Jason Osborne, he was the rider with the lower numbers of wins in head-to-heads between these two, but they've been going head-to-head for the last 3 years on the Sunday Race Club. And Jason Osborne, the current world cycling esports champion, back on form, back on the Sunday Race Club. Michael Vink has gone up against the current world cycling esports champion, and the gap, well, it's now 13 seconds.
So last week it was Michael Vink who took his 24th win, I think it was, on the Sunday Race Club. If Jason Osborne can keep going to the finish in the front, it will make him 21. He's creeping up on that total of wins. If either of these 2 riders blows, I'll tell you something, Kaminsky and Safrazadia with Jones, they are coming at pace as well. They're putting down a really fearsome amount of watts. This is incredible. We're coming into the final climb. We're on to the final climb, and they are putting down, we're seeing 8.5, 9.5 watts per kilo coming down. Jones is the one who's struggling at the moment, and Kaminsky is opening the throttle. He has got company, though. Safrazadia is just about holding him.
Well, he is indeed, and they are battling for 3rd, 4th and 5th place today, and we're in with Kaminsky. You can see him on the screen at the moment. You can see the fan blowing, the work being done here to match Safrazadia and to attempt to beat him today. It's looking like they've dropped to Ollie Jones. Jones sitting 3 seconds back in 5th, but Safrazadia pushes on. Can Kaminsky go back onto the wheel? He's digging deep, but Safrazadia pushes. This is the last climb before the finish. They get to the top of the Nabatea Cave climb, and then it's a flat 1.2 kilometer run to the finish. Whatever Safrazadia can gain here, Kaminsky is going to have to work to close. Kaminsky's continuing to dig, continuing to try and close the gap, but right at the front of the field, they're coming towards the top of the climb, and it's Osborne and Vink at the front. Vink now 25 seconds back on Jason Osborne. It's not going to be long. They've got around 800 meters of the climb still to go.
And he's in danger here, Emma, because it's only 35 seconds back to the battle between Kaminsky, Safrazadia and Jones. And I think the danger is if Vink relaxes too much, he's just taking a bit of a breather, I think, there. He's suddenly started to increase. He's realised that the riders behind could close him down. He does not want to get too close to those riders behind. The rider in front now, I think, is gone. Jason Osborne on the left of your screen has opened the gap. It's 23 seconds. It's currently around about the 150 to 200 meters separating first to second place. You cannot see Michael Vink round this long sweeping turn here as Osborne at the moment in that polka dot skin suit, the rider who's scored the most points in the climb so far, is looking to add another set of points, maximum points here, because surely he's going to have the fastest time up this climb. It's not long until it flattens out, and he is going to see the polka dot banner coming up in front of him. Here it comes. This is going to be the top of the 3rd and final climb here today before he heads into that last 1.2k. Osborne crests the top of the Nabatea Cave climb first. Surely he's done enough. Surely he can stay clear. Vink's good, but surely not good enough to close the gap.
Well, 1.2 kilometres, 1.1 kilometre now for Jason Osborne to the finish line today. Vink's still on the climb. He's not gone over the top, but Jason Osborne is already dialing it, time trialing it to the finish line today. That's the polka dot banner for Osborne. Actually, it's polka dot banner for Vink. Polka dot banner for Michael Vink on the right-hand side of your screen. On the left-hand side of your screen, it's Jason Osborne. Split screen came up at the wrong moment then. But you've got riders in first and second on your screen at the moment. Kaminsky, Safra, Zaidi are the riders chasing Vink. And I tell you, that gap is coming down. It's 28 seconds now. And Kaminsky and Safra, Zaidi, what can they do? Can they catch Vink? They're going to work hard, but it might just run out of road because Osborne's got 500 meters to go.
I tell you something, each place is a gap of 2,000 AED in category 1 from first to second to third to fourth to fifth. That's a lot of money. I'll be turning myself inside out, trying to close that gap down to Vic to try and get on to that second place. Jason Osborne, though, now hits 300 meters to go. He gets out of the saddle here. He's pushing. Vink is coming behind him, but surely this is Jason Osborne. He's got to get around this right-hand turn.
Well, this comes around the right-hand turn. He's going to see the finish line. The world champion for 2024 returns to the Sunday Race Club and takes the win. Jason Osborne in category 1 takes the win today. So Michael Vink now comes down the same part of the road. He's going to take the right-hand corner and see the UCI banner. He's clear for second place. He went head-to-head with the current world champion, Jason Osborne, and came out in second place today. Jason Osborne taking the win. Michael Vink coming through for what will be second place today in category 1. There's the banner. He's got to turn the corner, get the bike under the line. Michael Vink takes second place today.
Great riding by our two leaders. Jason Osborne taking away the win. Meanwhile, it looks like Mikhail Kaminsky has managed to shed Safra Zaidi. And that final section, you can see the rider on the left of your screen. You can see the avatar on the right. And this 1.2K is so long. It's such a big distance. And Safra Zaidi is only 6 seconds behind him. If Kaminsky's done too much too soon, he's going to be in trouble. But he's now at 200 meters to go.
Well, at 200 meters to go, I tell you what, he's got company in that pain cave, getting him across the line at the moment because Kaminsky is doing everything he needs to do to get that third place today ahead of Side Safra Zaidi. Congratulations to Mikhail Kaminsky, third place today. What a race!
So Safra Zaidi, he comes through to hit the line. He's going to take away a fourth place here today. It's going to be a fifth place for Ollie Jones, who has managed to stay clear of Jasin, Panizza, Martins and De Weert. A brutal course always. When we come to Alula on the Heritage Climb course, it's definitely the case today with those riders having that big pack start. Now, a little bit further back, let's jump in with Lionel Vajasin. He's our next rider out on course. Good ride by Vajasin. Not able to stay with Vink today. We saw that a couple of weeks ago when they were on the, I think it was the Wollongong climb, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it was Vink Vujasin, 6 seconds separated them on Wollongong, qualifier 1 in November. Last week, Vink and Vujasin on Tel Marie went away together, but Vink rode clear of Vujasin there. Vujasin coming through today now on the Sunday Race Club. He's going to take 6th place today. Great ride. Very, very different race today.
A massively different race. Now let's go to the category 2 race. Race leader is Bruce Bird at the moment. I think I'm just going to do a double check as we look up those screens, but it's looking like he is going to be the rider holding that position. Theme and Graves are behind, then Krasnich at the moment, and it looks to me like Bruce Bird with his pace and power coming up that last climb, the Nabatean Cave climb, has managed to really accelerate up. Now he hasn't got the polka dot jersey, which tells me that Mr. X100, who was holding that, has just gone over that climb. However, Bruce Bird leading on the road. That's where he wants to be. He'll want the top spot when he gets to the banner behind. Graves and Thiem only 2 seconds separating Phil Graves from Christoph Thiem. That's not a lot of time, a difference between him and Mikel Plantero. He's going to see the battle, though, because Bruce Bird is on his way.
Well, he is indeed, and he's desperately trying to stay ahead of Graves and Thiem, coming in for the run to the finish line with just 500 metres to go now. 400 metres to go. They're going to sweep round the right-hand bend at the end. Plantero and Andreessen are ahead of Bird at the moment, but Bird is the one battling. Plantero now pushing because he wants those finishing places in Category 1. Bird pushing because he wants to stay ahead of Graves and Thiem. Graves is pushing strongly at the moment from behind, but Mikel Plantero and Bjorn Andreessen are going to come across the line in Category 1. They are going to take what will be 11th and 12th place in Category 1 as Bruce Bird comes over for the first place in Category 2. Phil Graves has been battling with Christoph Thiem. He's gone clear. He's going to come across the line for second place in Category 2 today. Christoph Thiem, I think, is going to take third.
Here he comes. This is Christoph Thiem on his way through. Third place for him. You can see behind it's going to be Nico, who is making his way through. And it's in fact David Nico who's taken those mountain climber points, followed by the long-time battling Mr. X100 comes through ahead of James Krasnich as they come into the line. SS on his way in as well. In fact, that polka dot battle really, really close because Anders Bengston has just taken away the polka dot. He's switching shoulders really quick. Good job. It's a virtual one and not one the riders need to take on and off. So, Emma, do you want to just run through the top 10 in Category 1 for the moment?
Okay, let me do that for you. So Jason Osborne takes the win today in 65 minutes, 28 seconds. Michael Vink in 2, Mikhail Kaminski in 3, Syed Safrazadi in 4, Ollie Jones in 5, Lionel Yassin in 6, Ricardo Panizza in 7, Martin Martins in 8, Sieb Dvert in 9th, and Hayden Pucker takes 10th place today in Category 1.
Category 2, well, they are still continuing to roll in. Phil Graves in 1, Christoph Thiem in 2, Mr. X100 in 3, James Krasnich, I think, coming through in 4. Sorry?
I think you missed out Bruce Bird.
Sorry, Bruce Bird coming through in 1. My apologies, Bruce. Do you know what? It's because he's got a yellow jersey on when he comes up on our screens. It is indeed. Bruce Bird in 1, Phil Graves in 2, Christoph Thiem in 3, Mr. X100 in 4, James Krasnich in 5, Anders Bengston in 6, SS coming through in 7.
And on our screens at the moment, it's Lewis Ridley, the rider leading Category 3, about to come underneath the polka dot banner. He's going to have 1.2 kilometres to go because that's the end of the Nabatean cave climb for Lewis Ridley. Cracking ride from Ridley today.
Absolutely flat. I mean, he, as you said, Emma, he'd been in the top 5. He's regularly in the points, regularly in a position to score. He's not been totally dominant in the racing. And I think
certain courses suit him better.
And I think that's today it's definitely paid off. And he had the skills to go with the riders with that big pace. He was able to kick. We saw him and Luke Goldport doing that. And it's benefited both of them. Ridley's the one who's going to score the most out of this, though. He does have a bit of a gap to the riders behind, but he is the rider who should be taking away the win in Category 3.
Well, I'll tell you, the rider closest to him in Category 3 is Nick Scolari, and he's not that far back because he's already gone underneath the polka dot banner of that Nabatean cave climb, but not as quick on the climb as Ridley. So we will, I think, see Nick Scolari come through into second place in that Category 3 race. David Winfield is on the climb at the moment. He's still leading the Category 4 race.
And he does have a gap back to the riders behind, but we have seen gaps close down before. Ridley, I think, knows that he has got a gap as Jonas Bjarhead just goes over the top here. Category 2, a rider winding it up. He knows it's not that far to the finish, 500 metres. There are plenty of riders just in front, and each of these places count. Every rider wants to be in as fast as they can. They don't need anything once they come in and across the line. They can empty the tank on that run in. Lewis Ridley, well, he well and truly used his reserves. He used all of that fuel wisely today. He expended the energy when it really, really counted. optimizing it, doing a fantastic run. So this is Ridley on the right-hand side of your screen coming in towards the finish line. David Winfield, our leader in category 4, looking good on the climb. But Lewis Ridley, what a ride by him.
Yeah, absolutely fabulous ride by Ridley. So Brune comes through in category 2. Lewis Ridley will come through in category 3 to take the win. Nick Squilari is not far back.
So our riders on the way into the line. Your top 10 in category 1 on your screens at the moment. Great win for Jason Osborne. 1 out 5 minutes 28 seconds. Michael Vink coming through in the end, 36 seconds down. Osborne adds to his tally of wins. It takes him over the 20 marker into 21 wins on the Sunday Race Club, and that has put him right up into the runners being our favourite for next week. Emma.
Category 2, Bruce Bird, Phil Graves, Christoph Thiem, David Nitko, X100. Top 5. Category 3, Lewis Ridley takes the win from Nick Squilari. Stan Van Vellegem in 3rd place. Those are the riders over the line. David Winfield, at last sight, was well and truly clear in that Category 4 race, but he's not over the line yet.
So don't forget, make sure that you jump on to mywhoosh.com/results for all of the race results. Thank you very, very much for watching today and bearing with us when we did our race restart. It should be back to business as normal next week as we go into our finals, when we have the team competition as well as our individual competition. Always excitement, always great racing on the Sunday Race Club. I hope you've enjoyed watching. Thank you very much for doing so. A big thank you to the team behind the scenes who dealt with everything admirably as always. A big thank you to our riders, and I can't wait to see what happens next week. Make sure you download, tune into Inside the Ride. You can hear even more of us if you're crazy enough to want to do so on the latest episode. And if you subscribe to the MyWhoosh YouTube channel, you will be notified whenever a new episode of that comes out, as well as our racing on the Sunday Race Club and more. Yes, on racing will be on there coming up very shortly indeed as well. Don't forget, follow MyWhoosh on social media. It's at MyWhoosh on Instagram and on Facebook, my_whoosh on Twitter, as was now X. Give Emma a follow. It's at biking_Emma, at Matt Fix a Pain for me. But it's time for us to go find a small dark room, lay down, eat ice cream and have coffee, and reflect back on this. Can't wait to watch it back later to do the homework for next week. Thank you very much for being with us. But from Emma, from myself, and all of the team at MyWhoosh, stay safe. We'll see you again soon.
Goodbye.